Hi, my name is Sam Church, and this is my schematic design presentation for Foster Adopt Connect's new location in Kansas City. Before I jump into things, I want to go over some of my research that I felt was relevant to the design process. In Kansas City, 25% of foster youth who age out of the system will be homeless within 18 months. That's a lot. This is definitely a resource that's needed. Our site, located in Strawberry Hill, is a 5-minute walk from the nearest bus stop, meaning it should be easy to access for those who use public transportation. The most common request from employees who work at their current headquarters in Missouri was more storage, a pretty apparent need as you can see from the picture of the stacked boxes in their office. And finally, self-esteem plays a big role in how people get back on their feet. Autonomy and control of one's environment are the factors that we can design the most. I divided the needs that must be addressed in the design process into 4 categories: client, community, users, and site. For the client, Foster Adopt Connect, I wanted to be aware of the negative stigma that homeless shelters tend to have. For the community, I knew that trust must be established in order for both Foster Adopt Connect and Strawberry Hill to flourish. The users are likely to be experiencing isolation or loneliness that can be dealt with. And finally, our site is located in a primarily residential area, meaning a lack of exposure to potential users. To solve the problems identified, I came up with 4 corresponding goals. 1, change the negative stigma surrounding homeless shelters into a positive one. 2, establish Foster Adopt Connect's trustworthiness to the community. 3, create a community atmosphere that eliminates loneliness and boosts user self-esteem. And 4, develop a positive reputation that spreads word of Foster Adopt Connect's location. I started with some precedent studies of existing shelters to better understand what will work best for our unique scenario. From these studies, I was able to extrapolate the qualities that I felt best fit the design. The first of these was elevation beyond a shelter. These places were thriving communities. A domestic aesthetic creates a more inviting location, and the avoidance of an institutional appearance establishes dignity and respect. I pulled inspiration from some of the research I had done. Carry-on support, resources, information, and a network that users can take with them was an essential part of the client's mission. The experience of users needs to be an uplifting, memorable one. I wanted to change the assumptions people make about foster youth and homelessness, and I believe the design should be expressive and emphasize the human experience. Taking all efforts up to this point into account, I came up with the concept of reframing perspectives. It uses a high-end treatment of guests and a dignified atmosphere to intentionally flip the perceptions of foster youth and homelessness. It's intended to affect both the guests and those who have never experienced foster care or homelessness in a way that changes their outlook. I came up with this concept diagram to reflect the meaning behind the concept. On the left is how society, and consequently the youth who will utilize the new facility, might view homeless foster youth. On the right is what is more often than not the case, a somewhat invisible situation. The diagram is meant to erase stereotypes and focus on the humanity of guests. This Venn diagram organizes the program requested by the client into the 3 categories I felt each part fit into: drop-in, office, and foster youth support. I used this graph to help spatially organize the program. The bubble diagram pictured was one of many scenarios I worked through in order to find out what organization would work best. Overlap indicates connection, while separation indicates distance. I settled on this one because I felt it effectively established boundaries while still allowing for optimal flow between the different categories. Blocking diagrams are plan views used to indicate where a program will be placed within the structure. I placed these spaces in the basement because they're likely to receive significant traffic but may not need natural light as much as other parts of the program. For the first floor, I placed the drop-in shelter close to the entrance for ease of access and emphasis on the importance of the guests. The classroom, which will have after-hours access, is also located near the entrance to limit the amount of excursion into the building necessary. Office spaces are clustered on the east end of the building to eliminate noise from the drop-in shelter and permit effective communication between departments. On both level 1 and 2, I've implemented thick walls between departments that can double as storage space in order to maximize the amount of storage possible, as it's a big issue in the client's current location. The flex space is located towards the west end along with the community space to capitalize on possible community activity opportunities, while the break room is located on the opposite end to provide privacy and quiet. Apartments for foster youth are located on the third floor. All of these apartments are meant for single occupants except for two on the west end that can accommodate small families. Multifunctional furniture will be installed in order to maximize the possibilities of each apartment's square footage. A laundry facility for tenant use is located next to the stairwell. Stacking diagrams are vertical representations of programming that depict how different parts will line up. I aligned almost all office spaces so that departments on a different floor could be easily accessed via stairs or elevator. All multi-use spaces and drop-in programming is clustered towards the main entrance in order to isolate sound and higher energy activities. The nature of the concept of reframing perspectives means that there is both a spatial and temporal journey played out by a user of this space. These journeys have three stages: seeking resources, independence, and mentorship. I'll walk you through the journey of an example user so you can better understand. Our hypothetical user is Simone Douglas, a typical example of a foster youth who has aged out of the system. She's had experiences with homelessness for the past 2 years and wants to go to school, but isn't sure where to begin. She's come to Foster Adopt Connect to seek guidance. Stage 1: Seeking resources. As Simone begins utilizing Foster Adopt Connect, she'll primarily interact with the drop-in and foster youth portions of the building. She'll stay mostly on the west side of the structure as she uses the shelter, health clinic, and pantry to get back on her feet. Stage 2: Independence. Simone now has a job and a steady income and has started attending university on a scholarship. She's renting a single occupant apartment from Foster Adopt Connect and is continuing to use the network she built to stay on top of things. Stage 3: Mentorship. Simone has graduated from university and now has a partner and a home in Strawberry Hill. She still stays in touch with her network from Foster Adopt Connect and decides to seek a job at their Kansas City location. After joining the team as part of the Kinship Navigator department, she'll most often use the office portions of the building doing something she's passionate about. This concludes my schematic design presentation for Foster Adopt Connect's new Kansas City location. I hope you'll consider my thoughts, and thank you for watching.